I'm not.
What'd you say? Did you just say something?
No. I'm still on?
You are here. We are live,
Okay. All right.
or whatever that means. We left off at the very last thing. CERN colliders.
Yes. The
Whatever.
excitement of CERN.
Okay. Sometimes I think you're like in tune with my worldview. Sometimes I don't know. Maybe I'm just talking to myself and you just let me go. But I have this idea that like these like a matrix, doesn't a matrix in math have like brackets around it? Like
I don't know. I'm illiterate when it comes to math.
yeah, I just that just came to me. I am
Yeah,
too.
unless it has a dollar sign, I don't understand it.
uh anyways, and this idea you can pull it apart, but if you don't have to do that, the idea is the matrix has uh it's it's made for a time period, and the one we're familiar with is dissolving and a new one's forming. And um it's just a monumental, again, like I said in the last one, like concept, everything changes, all the systems to in order for that to happen. And it's a lot to think about, talk about how, why, how, but some of the things are evident, like the real like source of where it all comes from. I have no idea why, but how it works, you can kind of see and talk about in real time. And you can think about how maybe it happened in the past too, when you look at how the past is seems like drastically different at times, the way things have gone on. And
Sure.
so this last one that we were most familiar with involved NASA a lot. And NASA has now helped the collective psyche adopt space as the majority, the mainstream has adopted it. Now this like flat earth community of people is like a break off with our mindsets trying to say other things about how the space works. We basically believe we're in some type of enclosure, the firmament concept, and it's totally at odds with the infinite space concept. Um,
Or infinite flat Earth, you
or
might point out.
yeah, it's beyond our comprehension how big the realm, the thing goes, the plane of existence goes.
All right.
So, anyways, it's like CERN. I'm just setting all that up to say this next thing forming, CERN is very much taking its seat as like I would say the successors to NASA. NASA in its way is gonna fall apart. We're doing that. We're saying NASA not worth believing, guys. They're showing us in so many ways. It's kind of a joke. How many times have they made their shows and their movies showing how it's all Hollywood, really, these ideas about space. They're filming it, and it's an idea.
Filming in swimming pools, right? You
Very
know, NASA has a massive film studio, like bigger than anything in Hollywood.
make it make sense.
They supposedly have the world's largest swimming pool and are supposedly the world's largest consumers of helium for all their satellites and
Yeah.
stuff.
Um, Everyone should be like,
Here's to NASA.
right. No. Anyways, CERN, I mean, it's just whatever CERN is, it's NASA. It's like it's an imaginary thing. They're gonna through
I
CERN
agree.
create some totally new realms of possibility for everyone to like believe in, I believe. And through that, they're also going to bring in new things to fear. Um, are you familiar with the Stranger Things show? The like underlying concept.
I think so. Did that have Winona in it?
Yeah, see, I only saw season one many, many, many years ago, but I know
Well, was she in it? Do you know, I kind of think,
I think so. I think
I
yeah,
kind of recall that she was like, it was like the worst role I think she's ever had or something.
it's a Netflix, I believe, produced show. So, or maybe I don't know.
But like, I don't remember, I couldn't remember, if you want, I can't remember any episodes. I think I was pretty much wasted every time uh that was on. It was on for like a week straight or some shit. I didn't put it on, but you know, you know how that goes.
Those were in Florida days. Those in Florida.
No, here, in Fort Collins, not Florida. I didn't watch a lot of movies in Florida. I didn't have any time, in between, psychotic like, breakdowns and stuff. So I didn't get to see a lot of movies there.
Well, where do I go with that? We were,
Well, we were talking about CERN. CERN is the replacement, is the heir of NASA
hmm,
and the space shit and the space pantomime,
in the
that
bring,
kind of stuff.
yeah, bringing in like new things to feel like if NASA arguably,
Hello.
let's say, prior to, in the Victorian era, this could tie into another thought I wanted to bring up with you. Could they have fathomed like, the aliens? Uh, I don't know. Like, I don't know.
They I mean, I don't know. As far as I've ever seen, no. I've never seen or run across anything of that sort.
Yeah,
As
so
far as I can, as far as I can see, the 19th century worshipped, the ancient Greeks and the ancient Romans.
yeah, I don't know. So it's like if this whole last era of science fiction and NASA and everything combined help bring in the idea of now we can have intruders come from the spaceships and skies and
I
uh,
mean, like, well, or, I kind of left, forgot like, the theosophical movements in the 19th century, and spiritualism, stuff like that. Even like Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, the Sherlock Holmes author, was big into seances and all that kind of stuff, right? It's very funny. He's got this character who's all about reason and logic and deduction and stuff like that. And then the author, right, himself is going to seances, 7 days a week. Funny.
that's great. I love that. That's the true nature of man. I mean,
Isn't it though? Isn't it? Right? A walking contradiction.
yeah, for sure. I mean,
I love it. See, that's why that's what I can't get past, myself. Like how to reconcile the absurdity between A and B, for example. Like,
that's why you sat in your car for that the last one.
that's right. What I'm not on the clock for the CIA now. I'm not in my car.
That
I'm
was
not, this is not a brick building behind me. It's not bricks, right? I might do some hand signs, like, like politicians, like, you know, don't forget to vote,
uh no,
or
there's a go to.
the old go to. Yeah. I love, this is a little off the topic. We'll get right back onto the topic. But it's one of the weirdest things, you know, like do you remember the video of the Marine? He was like a Marine, captain or something, top of the top, creme de la creme of the Marines, you know, and he's at a podium in some giant auditorium making some, commencement speech. I can't remember if it was for some college or high school or what, and he's all in white with all his medals and shit. Like, and he's talking about, make your bed, like Jordan Peterson, make your bed every day and all that shit. Like, that was the clip that was super popular, the make your bed
Start your
uh,
day.
every day. Anyway, but like, I just happened to run across, like, I don't even remember how or whatever, the full speech or whatever. And so at the very beginning, he gets up, homeboy, Mr. Top Marine, military, public servant or whatever. He's supposed to be, guy in a Halloween costume is what I would consider him. Anyway, he gets up to the podium, and the first thing he does this. He goes, "That's what he did."
Interesting.
This guy, he's all, I mean, super clean cut. I mean, he looks like, I mean, exactly what you would expect.
I definitely remember
This is the fucking with a dugout, like, like he's fucking Ronnie James Dio, you know.
he might have been at a was that I don't know was if he was at Texas Longhorns or a school that was there.
I don't remember.
But I remember the speech as far as the make your bed. It's the first task of the day and first of many and
Well, if yeah, this self-improvement bullshit, right? If you want to go far in life, you'll make your bed. Well, I make the bed. Look how far I've gone. Anyway, back to CERN.
whoa, back to CERN.
And the 30,000 Hadron colliders, of the world.
Well, here's a thought for you, Doc. I was thinking about our dinosaur dilemmas and things we've thought about. And similar to that last question about could they conceive the aliens, I was wondering,
Yeah.
I was wondering if the reason why there's always controversy with the dinosaurs and it's like a needed psyop where there's always two sides to it and they can bounce back and forth and keep everyone confused is because even back then when it started, there wasn't really room for them in the narrative. It still didn't make sense then. So they have to play with it because they want to, I mean, especially back then when the timeline was so much shorter to what, they were saying with the Bible and whatnot.
Well, but that was not the universal belief. It wasn't. It wasn't even close.
What?
They weren't the backwards, Luddites that we think they are.
Right.
I mean, the notion that the Earth is, far older than the books of Moses tell us, or it can be, calculated from, I mean, that really does go back, easily, to the, 16th, and certainly the 17th century. There's a, a great deal of writing, about that very subject, the age of the Earth, how life formed, speculations, if you will, apart from the biblical story, the biblical account.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a great book. I mean, there's a few, there's not many good books on the subject, and no, one book that I could suggest, is like anything like complete, but there's a fantastic book called, The Dark Abyss of Time by Paolo Rossi, Rossi, in Italian. So you can get it in translation. It's the University of Chicago put it out. It's pretty old now. So there's that book, and then there's Martin Rudwick, his history of paleontology. It's a sort of brief history of paleontology, or speculation about like how fossils came to be fossils, that kind of thing. Anyway, and he starts in antiquity, what we would call antiquity, and works his way, through the Middle Ages, up through, basically up through Darwin, because that's where we are. We live in the age of Darwin. So anyway, I'm
So
just
he's
saying
saying,
that to say that the idea, goes, back much, much further.
but always pre whatever humans. Even he was saying that. The
Pre who?
bones, I mean, what was Mary Anning? What were they saying? The bones? When were the bones here? It's always a prehistoric assumption before humans, or
Well, as far as those guys go, yeah, none of them thought that the Earth was 4,000 years old or something like that. Like, the age of the Earth had already been pushed back, you know, a good. I mean, like we're talking like 100 years ago, prior to Mary Anning and William Buckland and Richard Owen and those people, the British, fossilists or paleontologists or whatever call them, you know. Yeah. So they all believe that the Earth was much older. Yeah.
okay. Well, I'll just let that thought go then.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm. What are you drinking there?
I think they were out of the Pinot Grigio, so I had to get Chardonnay,
I
which
like
is kind of nice for a change, actually. It's not so sweet.
I like Chardonnay. I haven't had it in a minute. I have a buddy, we used to call him Tommy Chardonnay. Yeah, he used to come to my his he's married now, and he's a good dude, but he used to like to come to my bars and bring his dates when I was bartending, and it as just this thing. He'd like to bring his dates to my bar in Greektown, and he had a little routine, a routine to his dating. It was fun.
That must have been an amusing job bartending.
Yeah, sure. Oh yeah, learned a lot.
I tried to get bartending jobs. Nobody would ever hire me.
You gotta, yeah, I don't know. You gotta be given the chance to learn first somewhere, and then you can get the jobs once you know. But going in not knowing anything,
Yeah.
it's there's this guy that looked exactly like Paul Rudd, and I don't know how he got in at this steakhouse I was at, and he just didn't have any real skills. He said he did, but he didn't, and
Well,
it's
that's one way to get in.
it's just
Yeah.
it's a whole thing trying to teach someone on the fly at a place that's already up and running, and you're not
Sure.
expected to teach them or whatever.
Yeah.
There's so much. I mean, it's where do you start? You got to teach them personality and like how to make the drinks, and then how to combine it, and then a lot. So
See, I would have made a great bartender, man. Like, I would have been perfect.
oh yeah, it's easy. I mean, it's easy once you are taught. My sister showed me how to do it basically, so that was very helpful.
Huh.
learned from her. She was my older sister by 3 years, and she told me, yeah, she was working at that restaurant just as a manager, but she knew the restaurant game well enough to serve or bartend or whatever. And she was nice enough to bring me in, and yeah, it was like, yeah, it was low key enough at the time. All I was doing was pouring wine, and then that place grew a little bit, and my skills grew as well, so it worked out.
Interesting. Yeah. No, I think like stuff like that is a great experience.
Yeah, sure was. I learned how to talk.
Restaurants, bars, shit like that. Even like a grocery store or something.
Hmm. My both my parents, their thing they talked about, that their bond was they grew up in the grocery stores, and they worked for competitors. One worked for Jewel and one worked for Dominic's. I don't know if you're familiar with those guys, but
Yeah, yeah.
so yeah. Uh,
That's funny. Well, Kroger is the big grocery store out here. Kroger. Yeah, I'm
ev-
sure you know it.
Everywhere now, because I believe they've just been buying everything. They're like the BlackRock now.
Yeah, I suppose probably.
Yeah,
But
they're eating up everything. They're up north now, which they never were. So that's like, or like the brand is in the grocery stores in Chicago now that they own. Uh,
uh,
so that's just a new thing. It was never the case.
hmm.
I have a lot to say about Kroger's. The-
Me too. I boycotted them for like 2 years because they were all about the face diaper and the hokey pokey, as Bright Green Barbie so aptly calls it. I love it. The hokey pokey.
I don't know. I'm sorry. I was just thinking about this morning how I don't know when because I go into the Kroger's a lot with the Instacart where I shop for people and I pick up groceries and I go deliver them to people. So I'm in the Kroger's, and I don't know. They had this announcement for go get the vaccine or get your booster, for 2.5 years straight, just running on like
Yeah.
a 10-minute timer or something every 15 minutes or 30 minutes, whatever it was. They reminded you over by the pharmacy you can go get boosted up, and I feel like it's finally gone. It's finally gone. But yeah, I always just would like look around when that thing came on and be like, why don't you guys get it? Like this is like the Twilight Zone.
I know. Like go get your nanobot technology injection while you're, picking up a head of lettuce.
Yes. This
Why
it's
not?
to remind
It's
you.
better to be safe than sorry.
Yeah. So Rogan and Terrence Howard, I don't know, I don't think you got that far. They were beefing and talking about
I think an hour that was a marathon.
for you. It was very compelling. It was flying by for me, Davio. It was just like,
Wow. Yeah, like that. I mean, like, I don't know, like the guy doesn't take a fucking breath. That he doesn't, there's no questions. There's no, I don't know. It's just a fucking monologue from one thing to another. Like I was like,
yeah,
is there a point? Is there a point to this? He never got to a point.
wasn't he selling ideas? Yeah, he was a salesman. He was like one thing after another. He was
Well,
selling.
so I mean, but that's like what wore me out. Like if it would have been a better constructed, you know, piece or something, like it would have been, maybe I could have made it through the whole thing or something, but just like, that kind of when it's just a monologue, it gets old.
Okay, good to know. Good to know. I'll try and keep my mind honest.
Well, Oscar Wilde said, that a conversation, is just a series of interruptions. So there was no conversation because there was no interruptions.
Okay.
There's just the one guy blathering on, like, skipping from one thing to the next. Nobody knows who he's referencing or what, he's referencing. It's just like, blah, this avalanche of shit. I mean, granted, like, he hit on all the sort of like popular themes and topics and stuff that are all over the place now. So that's, of course, interesting.
Well, before we are done with this one, we talked off air, off recording about the funny concept of how he's an actor and how many of these geniuses seem to play many roles and they just jump in and out effortlessly. And you know, he he referenced a bunch of people and but he was talking about reaching out to Bezos and Elon Musk because their powers combined, of course, could really change things. And even those guys are like
Actors.
actors. It's like they actually are actors. If you look up,
Well, it's one actor reaching out to another. It's like an AA. It's like one alcoholic talking to another.
yeah, something like that. They're no, but it's something that I don't know if everyone can stop and take note of as
Well, I can assure you that everyone is not going to.
well, I know that's why I'm trying to bring it up, Davio. I'm trying to say, like, listen, guys, these guys come across as geniuses, and even Joe Rogan, but at least he's been doing it a long time. But they're allowed to do it. They're allowed to. Their whole character is presented to you for a reason, and when you have Elon Musk going from originally what I don't even remember what his original thing is.
I don't know.
I remember these old videos. He was always like rich. He had when he was super young and he was with some supermodel in this car, but he did something I'm sure internet based, and he's gone into Tesla, and Tesla is like only just begun. It seems to be a company of the future. What they have in that company has a lot of patents, talking about patents and ideas that probably closely relate to just the future that I keep saying is going to be a little bit different than we could expect.
I would imagine.
I
It usually is.
I looked up this guy Salvatore Pais, who is another character you could Google, and he's the first thing that comes up is he's got all these famous patents that are going to revolutionize things, anti-gravity stuff. And so together they're all kind of creating new vehicles. And I mean, at the end of Terrence, he was presenting and he had a patent for a new light, he was talking about his new flying vehicles that then you start to see like, oh, doesn't that kind of look like what you were seeing in the movie Avatar? So they're already subliminally giving you images of these new vehicles they got in mind for everyone and things. And it's just
Right.
it's all kind of prepping us is basically what it was at the end of the day. But yeah, again, the point is like, but when you go eat it all up, that these guys are geniuses and not just actors that are really good at knowing their parts and like coming across. I mean, that's what a great actor is, right? When Daniel Day-Lewis takes on one of these roles, he's going all out. He
That's right.
believes he's Abraham Lincoln, and so
Yeah,
Terrence
exactly.
Howard is like I am the mad genius that's gonna make things.
Uh,
that's also kind of ghetto and smokes cigs on the side, and he's got his thing going on.
Well, it is kind of funny, like some guy that talks like, well, that, you know, spouting and spewing this kind of jargon. It's truly a collision of two worlds, isn't it?
Well, what do you mean?
Well, it's like the streets. It's
Oh,
like, you know,
oh,
the academic world,
oh,
Werner or some shit, I mean,
right now.
it's just kind of, and obviously that is part of the sales job, right? He doesn't even take off his hoodie to put on the fucking headphones.
Pretty
I
cool.
mean, I mean, how could you possibly take this guy seriously?
Yeah, because he's got all those patents, man. He's got patents.
Yeah, he's got patents. Yeah, I'm sure. Right.
Which means
Hilarious.
he could be a patent patsy, because that's the point of the Salvatore Pais guy. That name is like the savior of your country, Salvatore Pais. Like country is Pais and salvation.
Yes, yeah. Right, right, right. Yeah.
Like
No accidents.
I don't know. He kind of looks like he's got like three pictures. This famous guy with these patents that there's a lot to be said about him. I don't know how he came across him, but his name struck out. And I looked him up years ago, and I just looked him up again today. But the few pictures of him are like, there's accounts that kind of talk about how Epstein and things, photos and stuff that get made are like made up people, like just AI generated people that we are presenting, told are real. Kind of looks like that guy,
Right.
but he looks like he's got no like color to his eyeballs. Like he's like a made up generated person, but he made the patents, right? So
Kind of like the guy who invented the cryptocurrency,
yeah,
the Yakamoto, the mysterious.
Satoshi Nakamoto.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, and he's totally a patsy for sure. Like that's a great example of it was given to us, the new system of the future that then good people like my cousin Robbie clamor onto and try and say, this is good for all of us. Let's all do this in the future. And that slow wave of trying to get everyone to get on board has been it's taken 15 years. It's only, the beginning of cryptocurrency. That's how it works. In the same way, the flat earth movement, was given to me. And I've done my part in trying to disseminate information and share with people. NASA's lying. We couldn't possibly be on a spinning globe. The sun is closer than 93 million miles away. And all these
Right.
things that I believed, those they're real. That's a good thing to keep saying. Like prove me wrong. But I didn't come up with that on my own. It's
Well, no, right.
given to me to say and repeat. And
Well, it's funny. It's funny how, something that's apparently so, out there and like fringe and stuff, like could appeal to, you know, so many people.
what's topic exactly?
Well, like what? Well, like flat Earth or something.
It's appealing to reason. I mean, that's how it started, and
But it only appeals to a certain type of person, right? So what I'm saying is that like
no, oh,
you're saying this was put out,
if
not
Terrence
by
Howard,
accident.
if Terrence Howard or Joe Rogan flat out became flat earthers, it would then open up. They're gatekeeping. So no, you're not seeing that everything we have been talking about is just slowly trickling into. And there's going to be certain people that their programming is stuck. So no, those are the people you might be fixed on. Like they'll never get flat Earth. Throw them out of the equation.
Uh, no, no, no. I was talking about us. like that, our psychology, is understood to the degree that something like that, could be presented. And we're like, oh, yeah, of course. Right? Like, oh, that's obvious. Why didn't I think of that myself? That kind of thing.
because it's they were telling us to look over here. And they programmed us to look over here. That's the way it goes as a child. You are taught how to perceive. And you go with that until someone, you or yourself, can open your mind to new possibilities.
Well, but I mean, like, I grew up probably like you, and probably like most people, like, you know, to a degree or whatever, but like I grew up like in a very ignorant family. They taught me nothing. The only way in which I was, programmed, was to sit in front of a TV, and do as I was told and don't piss anybody off, that kind of thing, you know. So, I don't, I've never felt like I had like any kind of sort of preparation, for being, crazy. Crazy was something I feel like I did kind of all on my own, if you will.
You probably saw examples somewhere. TV. TV had crazy people.
Yeah, maybe like, I saw it on TV. I don't know. Like, you got me.
I'm not sure. I don't know what we're getting after contending. Um,
Sorry.
no, I think that you can call your family ignorant and that they didn't teach you anything, and that's a perspective that you have. And you have, I don't know what to tell you. You're allowed to have it. I don't, carry that with at all really with my side of things, my experience. But I'm always talking about I'm blessed. I think I got a great family, and I am come to terms with things about how we're going through an awakening of sorts and we're seeing things differently. And then you can go and turn around and look at how you used to think and everyone that still thinks that way. And you can say whatever you want about it, and everyone is saying different things. You can have negative things to say, you can have positive things to say. That's what we're going through, I believe, in a lot of ways. They're just like people are commenting and making commentary about what they believe and what others believe. That's all we're all doing. We're
Well,
about
I mean, don't you find it curious that there's no unity when it comes to opinions? None. There's no unity.
no
None.
the times come.
Every single person you find, that you run across, like, you will disagree with them. Period.
The
You
time
know?
it makes sense to me because that's what happened. That's where we're at. That's the facts. We are we're in the height of division. We're about to get disconnected here. Final thoughts?